Good, happy Monday morning to everyone. We are so glad for you to join us. We're happy for another great week here, week 4 of remote learning. And so we can't wait to get started and share some great things again with you this week. As you know, my name is John Shoemaker, and I'm here with one of my colleagues, Holly, and I'll introduce her fully in a second. But so I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping like we always talk about. First of all, don't forget this is recorded. It's being streamed live on YouTube. And so it'll also be available on our channel down below. All you have to do is click on our name when we're finished. And there's a subscribe button right beside it. So you can click on the red subscribe button and you can hit that bell and it'll let you know when we'll be going live or when we post another video. We've also got some amazing minions over in our chat box, which is located over on that side. So please feel free to ask your questions, share implementation ideas, just communicate with one another. We've got some great people who have a little wrench beside their name. There are nice little minions that help us out with questions in the chat, mostly because there could be up to a 20-second delay between what we're saying and what you're hearing because of the YouTube technology and all the fun stuff YouTube has to do before it gets to you on the other end. And don't forget, all of our information will be posted to edtechtraining.palmbeachschools.org. And so all of the library media stuff that we're doing will be hosted on one page there. And so you'll be able to access all the other previous videos that we've done, that Holly has done on fair use and copyright. We did one on elementary resources. And again, today is on secondary resources in the Google Classroom. So with that, I would like to introduce Ms. Hollyanne Ruffner. Hollyanne is part of our library media department. She is a person I've worked with for several years now. She's a great friend of the EdTech community. And so with that, I will turn it over to her. As her page is loading, we will get started in a second with her. Go ahead, Holly, you're good to go.
All righty, so welcome this morning. Thank you for joining us early this Monday morning. Happy whatever week of distance learning this is. It seems like we've been doing this forever now. Today we're going to talk about digital content that you can use for the secondary Google Classroom. These are things you can explore to add to your classroom that you're already working from. So we're going to focus on a couple main resources today. The SIRS Researcher from ProQuest, our suite of Gale Research tools, our tools from InWorld Book, and then we do have a suite of nonfiction ebooks, a collection that is part of our Gale Research tab in the portal. So we'll talk about those last. But we do have 3 different resources. They work a little bit differently, but you can pull material and launch it in your classroom, or you can send your students there to do research on their own, because all of these tiles are also in the student portal. So we're going to start with the slides really quickly. Let me explain these extremely over textual slides. I built my slides so it would work as a resource after this broadcast. So they are a bit wordy and have a lot of information on them. This is so you didn't have to take notes while we went through this. I'm going to show you these slides really quickly, give you a preview, and then we're going to go live and go through the tools in actuality. So each slide for the particular tool in question has a description of what's in the resource. It has a picture of the exact tile that you should see when you search for it in the portal. And as a quick hint, that gray bar, for example, underneath this SIRS Researcher tile, that is how you search for that particular resource if you want the tile to come up for the first time on your front portal page. If you type in SIRS Researcher, in this case, you will get this tile. Right-click it, make it a favorite, and then you don't have to hunt for it again. The last column of each slide will give you ways to add these resources at whatever level to your Google Classroom. So this is your notes for later. Also, where possible, I've added links to vendor-provided training for this particular product or educator tools for that product. So all the slides are going to look like this. This is the one for SIRS. This is our Gale suite of resources for secondary. You can see it's extensive. And again, there's a link to training videos that are prepared by the Gale Cengage company if you want to go back and dig into a particular tool. We're going to look at some of these in a minute. These are your notes about how to get to the Gale Research portal and about the toolbars that are available in the Gale products. This is our strongest tool for integrating with Google Classroom for a couple reasons, and you're going to like how it works. We're going to click into it in a minute, but these are your notes for the Gale Research suite. And then we have a suite of tools from InWorld Book, not as strong for secondary as maybe elementary. And there is a group of very temporary resources that they have granted us access to because of the COVID-19 crisis and teaching from home. The ones in the green rectangle will not stay in place once we're no longer in this crisis mode. And we're not going to really talk about those today, mostly because they're in languages I cannot read. But there are 2 classroom tools there. You might want to click in to see if they're useful, particularly for middle schools. Science Power and Social Studies Power, they are a classroom tool rather than a straight up research database. And you may find them useful. If you share them with your colleagues, so be sure to let them know that they are temporary. We cannot afford to keep them once the free access is over. So think of it as something temporary to use during this strenuous time. Whoops, too many slides. There we go. So this is your note slide for InWorld Book. We're going to look at InWorld Book Student and InWorld Book Advanced. There's links at the bottom of these slides to some educator tools. And again, it has a description in the middle of exactly what kind of content is in this resource and some tips about how you save it to your Google Classroom. And lastly, we'll talk about the Gale eBook suite and how you get to them and the tools that are available to connect those to your Google Classroom. So this is the specifics on the Gale eBook. We're going to look at this with all the Gale resources, but the toolbars in all the Gale products are super useful when it comes to Google Classroom. So I'm going to demo all of those. But again, this will be notes for you how to navigate a Gale ebook, because they are in fact a full volume, a book you can read from cover to cover. They're all nonfiction, but they are a reference book that if you wanted to, you could read cover to cover, or you could read one chapter and so on. So we're going to talk about that in a minute, but they're a book rather than a database, even though they are cross-searchable. So then this is your note page for your Gale ebooks so that you can find them. There are 2 different paths to getting to them, and I'm going to show you that. And then they have the same sticky toolbars that the other Gale products have and the same sign in with Google. So we're going to kind of go through that live. And there's some tips for success that we'll come back to in a moment. Before we finish, I'm going to switch out of that slide deck and I'm going to go live to my portal. Shui, if it's delayed, let me know if it's lagging behind too much. I'm going to go to...
You're good to go, Holly.
Okay, it's good. All right. So
I lied. It looks like we just lost Holly as we went live there. So Holly was actually going into her portal. It will take a second or 2 for her to get back. And so one thing is important to note that not all people have access to all of the tools that came up in our elementary group. So for example, even though I'm in educational technology, not all of us, even in educational technology, have access to all of the tools that Holly is talking about. But when you're in your portal, you just need to search for those tools, which would be the SIRS Researcher. And so you'll see, as she was talking, that bar underneath is the important thing that you need to look at when looking for what to type. Because some things, even though you know the name of it, this is what the portal is actually searching for. So it's important to know that as well. I'm wondering if Holly may not be aware that she dropped. So again, so Sir's Researcher, when you click into it, it will load in for you. And again, we apologize, Holly dropped. I just sent a message to Lisa to try to get to her. Holly is using one screen, so she may not actually be aware that she has dropped. So we may just need to come back and redo this live stream at another day. We're going to try to get back to her in a second. When landing here, though, you can see it's loaded at the top. They've got it by trending topics. So all of the topics that are kind of important right now, obviously epidemics, social media, and then they have things based on the editor's picks as well here along the middle, and then other topics, you know, that students might be interested in are there as well. Oops, sorry about that. So we're going to go in, let's say we're going to share information. Students are obviously interested, extremely interested right now in epidemics because of everything that's going on in the world right now. So here I've clicked into epidemics, and you'll notice there's a full summary. Thing that's awesome here too is the listen button where you can have it read to you. And then you have options over here to either save it to the cloud, you can cite it, or you can print it or email it to whoever you want. And then down here, they have it set as 2 different viewpoints. And the different viewpoints are available. There's Miss Holly, right, she's back.
Sorry, I am so sorry.
That's okay.
Internet connection problems this morning. I thought maybe I dropped because I asked you a question you didn't answer, but I just kept going.
That's okay. So if you want to hop in and just share your screen again, I was just giving them a little tour of SIRS already.
Okay.
So if you want to share your screen, I will hop that back to you.
All right. Let me know when I'm ready, and I apologize to the attendees. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Go
when it stays up.
Go ahead and share your screen now for us. I need you to reshare it down there at the bottom.
Okay.
Not a problem with technical fun with all these platforms, you know. All right, there's your screen, Holly. So yours is up now. Go ahead and hop into that other tab. There you go. Perfect. So this is almost exactly where I was with them. So I took them to an article. So go ahead and continue.
Okay, so basically every article works this way. You have the same tools. It is a sticky toolbar. It follows you, and you can choose to save it to your Google Drive or your Google Classroom. Whoops. There we go. At the article level, or like I may have dropped before I said this, but you can actually do this from any level. You can do it from a leading issues page or the article level. Now, all of these resources work best if you have the resource itself open in a tile in the background while you're working in Google Classroom, and that goes for the students as well. And I also encourage you to think about teaching your students how to navigate to the resource that you're interested in them using, because particularly when you download as a PDF, you lose some of the tools that are available, like the text-to-speech tools and some of the translation tools and so forth. So having the students work in this resource live has its advantages. So think about that as you're choosing these resources to work with, and you're linking them to your drive. Kind of watching the time, we lost a little time on that. So let me skip over to Gale Research. Now my opening screen looks a little different than your opening screen should look. Shui, did it load?
Yep, you're good. You're good now.
So I get this main screen with all the schools on it. You should end up on a screen that is specifically for your school. I'm using Dreyfus's page for convenience this morning. you should land on the page that corresponds to the school where you work. And the students most definitely do this. They land on the page for their school. So we have this extensive suite of resources, some of which are paid for by Library Media Services, and some are provided by your state library. Gale very kindly combines all the resources here for us in a single splash page for convenience. I'm going to use one of the most popular resources that we pay for. It's called Global Issues. It is also a pro-con database, but it strictly focuses on world issues. Let me know when it loads, Stewie.
Yeah, it's good. You're good.
Okay. So you have, of course, a search interface, but the great thing about Gale is you have these sticky toolbars that follow you everywhere in the resource. So right now we're on their feature page. This is what they're featuring today. As far as issues, you'll notice up here, sign in with Google. This is your key to using this resource successfully. I always say when you go there, go ahead and click it and get yourself logged in with Google. It's that easy. Now you can see that my name is there. Everything I touch and save, it will offer me the opportunity to send it directly to my drive. If you forget to do this, when you go to save, it will prompt you to log in with Google. I'm also now directly connected to my Google Classrooms. I can click here and save whatever I need to the classroom as an assignment and so on. I'll demonstrate that in a minute. You have all of these tools and a secondary way to add your resources to your classroom or send them in email if you need to. Where it says get link, that is what they call a permalink to this page. So if you post that in your Google Classroom or send it in an email, it will always take whoever clicks it to the page that you took it from. And this is particularly good when you're at the article level and you want to always have access to a particular article. The permalink will work for you in a consistent way. So let's just pick an issue so you can see how it drills down a little bit. And you can see that the sticky toolbar follows you everywhere. So this is the overview and these are the articles. So let me pick, it doesn't really matter. It's just a demo. So I'm going to pick this article. The great thing about these toolbars here is the highlight tool. So I'm just going to randomly highlight a line so you can see. All right, so I highlight it. I can pick highlight. I can also do that. Well, it didn't stick. Come on. Highlight yellow. There we go. And I can also connect a note. I can pick notes. And it will let me write something here. Demo note. And when I send this to my Google Drive, when I say, okay, it is now in my Google Drive and these highlights and that note followed it. Then I can go into Classroom, make an assignment, and do add from Drive. It will be in your recents as a PDF with these highlights, and you pull it into your assignment or materials or whichever category you want to add it to in your Google Classroom. Students can do this as well. The highlighting follows them to their Google Drive so that they don't have to take notes on paper. But you do have the opportunity to go straight to your Google Classroom with this tool, and it works beautifully. I just click this Google Classroom icon. I'm going to pick my laboratory class, which is where I just do stuff for the heck of it to demo. So create an assignment, say go, and name it. Just like you're working in Google Classroom, read and discuss with your group. whatever you want to tell them to do. And you hit assign, fill in all this other detail. And that immediately creates an assignment in your Google Classroom, and you can go view it if you like. Or you can stay in the tool and continue to research. This tool works tremendously with Google Classroom. Again, it does work best if you have the tool open in the background, but the key is logging in with Google and have the students do the same. Then it automatically gives them access. So let's go to our, let's skip to our ebooks because I'm right here in the Gale interface. There's two places that you can access the Gale ebooks. You can click this icon from what we call the products page, or you can click this tab, the ebook tab. I'm going to let the ebooks load. Let me know when they're there, Shuey.
They're loaded. You're good. Just like your screen.
Okay. So you can sort these by topic from this screen. I'm going to do arts. Here's the book I used for the demo and the slides. The book is loading. It starts on this view where you can see the interactive table of contents. You can click to a certain chapter if you want. If you'd like to view it like a book in 2-page separation, you click View eBook, let it load. This is single page view. And this is double page view, and you could do full screen. It would get bigger and be easier to see. It's hard to demo this. But again, I'm signed in with Google. I can download this as a PDF. I can permalink right to this page, or I can go back to the cover and permalink to the book and say, please use this book for your research. I can do all the things I did with the article from Global Issues. I can highlight it and send it to Google Classroom by page level. There's also other great tools in here in all the Gale resources. There's a citation tool and also the audio tool.
Holly, did I also see at the top someone's mentioning in the chat that there are ELL support here as well, where you can change the language and it'll read it aloud in their own language?
You can.
It looks like up there at the very top it was.
You have to be in the text view.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure to instead, because these are ebooks, but definitely in the text view.
There it is. Yep. Oh, there on the left.
You can listen and you can where did I go?
The translate is right beside the listen there.
There it is, little tiny thing. I am working on an itty bitty screen.
That's okay.
But you can pick, I don't know, let's just pick something quick. And there it is in Czech. Now this isn't a computer generated translation, so it may not be absolutely perfect, but it does translate into quite a few different languages. So it does help the ELLs. Plus the audio version helps in English, helps struggling readers and ELLs. So that audio piece, which again, I'm glad you brought that up too, Shui, is because yes, it's great. You as the instructor can push an article or a book into your Google Classroom and say, please pay attention to this, or you can create an assignment around it. You could highlight parts of an article and make them focus on that or ask questions about that part of an article. There's so many things you can do as the instructor with one article, or give them 2 articles and ask them to compare and contrast. But there is a strength to sending them right to the tool because of the translation, the audio. They can make their own highlights, save their own copy. So think about doing both. And this is making me nuts seeing it in a language I can't read.
That cancel button was there. Yeah.
Yeah. So letting that load. But that is pretty much how the ebooks work.
So are they like elementary ebooks where we talked about last week, where as many people as you want can join those books at the same time?
The Gale books are very unusual in that not only are they simultaneous multi-user, you can download and keep, technically if you want to sit and do it, these are hundreds and hundreds of pages long, these books. You can download a chapter and keep it in perpetuity in PDF form.
Okay, that's good to know.
So they are ultimately the best like user interface in that term. You can download them and keep them.
Wonderful.
Nobody would download a whole one of these. Like I said, they're hundreds and hundreds of pages long. They're very intense reference books, but you can definitely have chapters. The kids can download a chapter, keep it in their Google Drive, highlight it. So they're very, very useful for instruction. But that was a great question, Shuey.
Yep.
So let me go back to the product page and just show you the difference. When you go to the icon and click, it's going to go to directly to the search interface for the ebooks. If it ever loads. Did we get there, Shuey?
Yep, you're there.
It's a slightly different view, and you can search across all the books in our collection right from the top here. So if you wanted to find, say, climate change, a broad topic, you could see from multiple books what was available, and it will show you chapters and page numbers, and you can grab that material. So it's a pretty flexible resource. So before we run out of time, and to make sure we have time for questions, I had skipped over World Book. So hadn't I? I needed to do this. I'm getting punchy.
Yep.
I've done this so many times.
Oh, we lost her again. Her internet must not be working very well today. So Holly was going to review World Book, and Lisa, again, if you could reach out to her. As she was explaining, World Book, for the most part, we talked about the student last week during the elementary, but there are the 4 there that are available only for a short time right now. So I'm going to go into my portal and let's see if I have World Book. And I believe last week I searched wrong. She said I had to search all one word, and see the difference in searching. That's really important to do, is that you got that full word for World Book. And, oh, well, I apologize. That is quite small. So let's zoom in a little bit. So the 4 across the bottom, as Holly talked about, are the 4 that are just currently, there she is, Holly's back.
It's just not my day.
That's okay. If you want to share again, I'm just talking about the World Book. I got to the panel for World Book, and I was explaining again the bottom 4 are temporary. So they are definitely not here for a long time, but they are definitely something you would want to take a look at before we don't have access to them anymore.
Yep.
And with that, if you want to switch over to your screen, I'll switch onto your screen, and you can go ahead right into your portal and hop into World Book.
Okay, let me get rid of this square. So let's start with World Book Student. This would be great for your middle school students. Did it load, Chewy? Just make it.
Yeah, you're there.
Oh, look, just for me and for Lisa, it's the Library of Congress background picture. Sorry, a little bit of a squirrel. The tools work a little differently in World Book. I just clicked shared in my Google Classroom. These do not work as well as the Gale because we do not authenticate to World Book through our Google connection yet. So your best bet is to navigate to, I was playing with something this morning that was interesting. Oh, they moved it already. Well, we'll just pick something. So they highlighted, oh, we don't want to pick that. They have a segment that is current events and headline, but they call it behind the headlines. This doesn't particularly switch over to Google very well, but the article levels do. So let me go back and just do a straight up search. Okay, some of you may know who Dorothea Lange was. That picture of the mother in the Dust Bowl is pretty famous from the WPA projects. Here's an article on Dorothea Lange. And when you get to the article level, you look for this little gear symbol at the top of the article. And you have a couple options. You have save to Google Drive. That is your best option when you're using World Book. Save it to your Google Drive. Go into your classroom separately. Create your assignment material, whatever type of item you're making, and pull it from your Google Drive. And it will pull as a PDF. They also have a share feature to Google Classroom. It works intermittently, not super well. So my preference right now is to use the save option and send it to Google Drive. Hopefully in the future we can authenticate using our Google addresses, and then this will work more seamlessly. Another project that's on the back burner right now. So that's World Book Student. Real quick, it does have audio, and it does have citation tools, not as extensive as World Book Advanced. So let me see if I can go. Let me just do it again so that it loads faster. We're back at this splash page, I hope. Tell me when it's loaded, Chewy.
Now you're signing in now.
Okay, so I'm going to switch over to advanced, which is infinitely more useful to your high school students, even though I'm going to use the Dorothea Lange search again, which is not that sophisticated, but the topics in here are much more sophisticated on the whole and better for your upper middle and definitely your high school. But just as a comparison, it lays out slightly differently, and you'll see that the article in this case is similar, but the citations are more in the forefront because that tends to be more something that the more advanced student is looking for and needing. It does have the read aloud, and the gear is in a different place, but you have save to Google Drive, and you have the share to the classroom or to send it as an email. So that's useful, and it will jump directly to the citations so they can copy them. So it has similar tools to the student interface. And it has the images and videos, if there's some, on a separate tab so that they can open them and make them larger. And you can save those as well. And again, with all these materials, we have rights to use these, print these, to make multiple copies, as long as you're not putting them in something you're selling. And that includes like teacher pay teachers. We don't have the rights to do that. But you can give every kid in your Google Classroom a copy of this picture or the article. And you can talk about them in your Google Meets that are recorded inside of our logged in Google Classrooms. So we do have the rights. You can use any of these things and feel perfectly comfortable teaching with them. Just don't put them in anything you sell or give away to friends in other states. So let's go back to that last slide. Tell me when it's loaded, Chewy.
Yeah, I can put it up if you want, Holly, if you want to join back.
I got it loading.
Okay, that's okay.
There, how's that?
There we go.
So this is, of course, as part of the slides that are your notes. And I've already mentioned it's best practice to have the tab open in the background before you click the link from Google Classroom, so teach your students to do that. There are advantages to having your students know how to go to these tiles and just look for information themselves, or find the article that using that permalink, so they open the article right in the resource so they can use the audio tools and translation tools, the highlighting tools. And please always access these resources by going to your portal, logging in, and choosing the tile. Yes, some of these are floating out there free right now. All of these vendors maintain a website that you can get to by Googling Gale Cengage or Gale Global Issues, but you will hit a request for a login that will not work because we do use some special different types of authentication behind each tile. And your most seamless way to go is through the district portal. So if you'll just get your kids in that habit, and that'll be the best thing. So questions, Shuey? Maybe Lisa and them have handled all the questions in the chat. I don't know where we are. We're a little ahead of schedule.
Yep, I think they've been. If you want to hop back into StreamYard, Holly, I'll grab the presentation from you.
Okay.
So if there are any questions, please feel free to ask them. There's been some great conversation around when we can use them and all the different features. So for those who have chatted, we appreciate you. Also, I found out earlier today, Lisa shared with me that your website now has a short URL, what I call a vanity URL. So you can always get to their website now by going to librarycurrent.palmbeachschools.org. So that's an easy way to get to Library Media's website, which is very helpful. They have lots of great resources as well. So if there are any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat while I just wrap a few other things up. We again want to bring the opportunity for anyone in the district, if you need any support on a Google tool or any kind of tool, Google, Flipgrid, Smart, anything that we own or use in the district, we have a group of people who are monitoring the form to answer those questions very quickly. I see Lisa did put the link to Library Current in there as well, but please feel free to use all the resources we are providing. There's a lot of people working to serve you guys in any way that we can possible. I think that, there's lots of great groups in the district trying to bring as many resources as possible out to teachers and all groups. So please use what we're trying to share with you. And any times that we're available, like for example, EdTech does office hours. There are other groups that do office hours. Pop in, ask questions, pop in and just join the conversation. There's lots of great conversations going on in Google Meets across the district that I'm seeing at the adult level as well. So please don't hesitate to do that.
So can I just tag on to that real quick?
Please do.
Because I did forget to mention that that your media specialist can be helpful with these resources or suggest resources. And I made the comment about there's so many things out there. Vendors have been extremely supportive in this crisis, and they've thrown resources out for free. But we are amazingly lucky in Palm Beach County. We already had a suite of tools and resources that was pretty strong. And so before you grab the thing that's being touted on Facebook or whatever, ask your media specialist, ask EdTech, ask Library Media Services, do you have something that will do this? Because we may have something that's already single sign-on or something that will continue past the crisis because we're already paying for it, a better tool or an equal tool. We don't have everything, but it's good to check first. There's so much out there, and it's hard to get everything to work properly. So I'm just encouraging you to check in with EdTech.
Agreed. And your media specialist. There's a lot of people at your school site who are helpful that may not have a full load of students that, they can help you out as well in this time to kind of lighten the load a little bit. So with that, we thank all of you for joining us. We appreciate you every time you join us. Please feel free to share our channel, our recordings with everyone. Please feel free to share the resources with everyone. And once again, this information, including Holly's slide deck, will be posted to edtechtraining.palmbeachschools.org. and it will be under the live stream resources in the top right. And I believe we're going to rename it to something like Library Media so it's easier to find. Otherwise, go ahead. Go ahead, Holly.
No, I was just laughing when you said label it Library Media because it broke up so much this time. So sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I think that still the message got across. I tried to jump in there.
At home.
Right, exactly. We're all dealing with internet from home now. So, but otherwise, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. Stay safe out there, and don't hesitate to reach out to anyone for assistance. See you later.
Bye-bye.